Hello everyone, and welcome to English Grammar with Max. As you might know, we have three tenses in English, which are past, present, and future. Every one of these tenses have four aspects, which are simple, continuous, perfect, and perfect continuous. And also for the other tenses too. We have present simple, present continuous, present perfect, and present perfect continuous. Future simple, future continuous, future perfect, and future perfect continuous. Today we are going to talk about three tenses: past simple, past continuous, and past perfect. Let's start with past simple. For past simple, we have three functions in English. Function number one. We use past simple to describe something that happened and finished in the past at a specific time. For example, I read a book last night. Or she went out with her friends last week. Remember, this specific time is particularly important in past simple. As you can see in here, specific time, we have last night and last week. But sometimes this specific time is not specified in the sentence, but it is suggested. Look at this example. He left his wallet at the mall. As you can see, there is no specific time in this sentence, but this sentence is a past simple sentence. But a specific time is suggested. When you see at the mall, it means he left his wallet at the mall, or when he was at the mall. So, as you can see, a specific time is suggested in here, but not specified in the sentence. Function number two. We use past simple to describe a fact. In the past. Example. In 1987, she lived in Australia and had a black car. This is just a fact at a specific time in the past. In 1987, this is your specific time. Remember, we always have a specific time in past simple sentences. And as I have told you, sometimes this specific time is clearly stated in the sentence. Sometimes it is suggested in the sentence. In 1987, she lived in Australia. This is just a fact. And had a black car. Another fact which was true at a time in the past. Function number three of past simple. We use past simple to describe a habit or a frequent action in the past. For example, when I was younger, I exercised every day. This is a frequent action or something that happened on a regular basis. And this is another function of past simple. When we are talking about past habits, apart from past simple, we have two other choices we could use to describe habits in the past or frequent actions in the past. Your choices are 1, used to, and 2, would. Now, how do we use them to talk about or to describe habits or frequent actions in the past? Let me give you 2 examples for each one. He used to play football years ago. She used to be afraid of spiders. Now, we are going to write the very same examples with would and see if they are the same or not, because there is a big difference between used to and would when you are describing habitual actions or habits in the past. He would play football years ago. Or you could say he would play football regularly years ago, or he would play football on a regular basis years ago. Because remember, we are describing habitual actions. It means actions which happened on a regular basis or frequently. Now, take a look at this example. She would be afraid of spiders. And of course, we mean a while ago, in the past. As you can see, look, as I have told you, there is a big difference between used to and would. For used to, this sentence is correct. This sentence is correct. For would, this is a correct sentence, but this is an incorrect sentence. The reason is, with would, we cannot use non-action verbs to describe habitual actions. Remember, we are talking about the context of describing habitual actions in the past. When you use would in this context, it means we cannot use a non-action verb. Play is an action verb, so it means the same when you say he would play, or he used to play, or he played. Past simple. So, would only action verbs. Now, let's talk about past continuous and how and where we use it. We use past continuous to describe an action which was in progress at a specific time in the past. Example A. What were you doing last night at 8. B. I was cooking. So the action of cooking was in progress last night at 8 o'clock. But there is a very important point about past continuous you need to know. The important point is we use past continuous to describe background events in a story. We use past simple to describe the main events of the story. Now, let me give you an example. Yesterday, I was walking in the street when I saw Mary. So let's take a look at this example. Yesterday, I was walking in the street when I saw Mary. As you can see, we have two tenses, two sentences in this example. I was walking in the street. This is in past continuous. I saw Mary. This is in past simple. I was walking, past continuous in here, is describing the background event of the story. And I saw Mary is the main event. So this is background. And this is main event. Now, what is the meaning of main event in a story? A main event in every story pushes the story forward. For example, yesterday I woke up, had a shower, had breakfast, got out, and went to work. As you can see, we have consecutive past simple sentences because one action is happening after another one. And all these actions are pushing the story forward. But for example, you could say, yesterday I was walking in the street, I was listening to music, and I was thinking about my future, for example, when all of a sudden I saw an accident. I saw an accident is what we are waiting for. It is the main event of the story. But the background events of the story, the background actions in here are not the main focus of the story. They just set the scene for the main event. Now, let's talk about past perfect. Remember, it is very important to know the meaning of main event in a story to understand past perfect better. Look. Past perfect. We use past perfect to describe something that happened and finished before the main event. Example. Last night, when we arrived, they were chatting. They had finished dinner. Now look at this example. When we arrived, this is in past simple, and it is indicative of a main event in your story. So this is your main event. They were chatting. This is in past continuous. So this is describing the background events of your story. So this is background. And they had finished dinner. I hope you are familiar with the structure of past perfect, because this lesson is designed for intermediate and upper intermediate students. So I assume that you are already familiar with this structure. Had finished, this is in past perfect. It means it happened before, it happened and finished before the main event of your story. Let me show it on a timeline so you could understand better. Let's say this is our timeline and this is present. We always show the main event on the timeline first. It says we arrived, so it's a point in time. Arrive. And it says they were chatting when we arrived. What does that mean? Chatting was in progress when we arrived. So we show it with a continuous line like this. Now, the thing is, we don't know if when we arrived they continued chatting or they stopped. We don't know, because both options are possible. So what we do on the timeline is that we show the rest of the line with dashed line, because both options are possible. Now, where do we put this one? Past perfect. They had finished dinner. It happened before the main event of your story. So let's say somewhere around here. Let me give you another example. Yesterday we went to a Chinese restaurant. I had been to this Chinese restaurant. It's as if I'm telling you a story and I'm going forward with every main event I tell you. I say, yesterday I went out with my friends, I'm going forward. We went to a Chinese restaurant, but I want to give you a fact, something to set the scene for you. So I say, I had been in this restaurant. It means going back in this story. So past perfect we use to describe something that happened and finished before the main event of your story. Now, let me give you a point about past perfect. Sometimes we don't need to use past perfect, even if we want to describe an action or something that happened and finished before the main event of the story. But how? Look at this example. They finished dinner before we arrived. So of course, you have the option of using past perfect in this sentence, but you don't have to, because as you can see, before in here is making the sequence of the actions clear. So we don't need to use past perfect to clarify the sequence of the actions. So point. When the sequence of actions is clarified by time expressions like before and after, we don't have to use past. A few points before we start with the exercises. Look at these examples. After finishing dinner, they went out. Before leaving, I locked the doors. While driving, I saw some friends. Now, after finishing, before leaving, and while driving, we call these participle clauses. And we use participle clauses with after, before, and while. And remember, the subject of the participle clause is the same as the subject of the following sentence. Look, after finishing, who is finishing? They is the subject of the participle clause and the following sentence. Before leaving, who is leaving? I locked the doors. While driving, who is driving? I saw some friends. A point about using past continuous. Look at these examples. He was always running late. They were telling me what to do all the time. Now, I told you we use past continuous to describe an action which was in progress at a specific time in the past. And I also told you that we use past continuous to describe the background events of a story. But these two examples are none of them. He was always running late. As you can see, we have an adverb of frequency. They were telling me what to do all the time. Again, an adverbial phrase of frequency. The point is, we use past continuous with adverbs of frequency to describe an annoying or irritating habit of somebody. For example, they were telling me what to do all the time. She was washing his car every day in the garage. Now, last point before the exercises. Let's take a look at these examples. I was wondering if you could help me. I was thinking of inviting him. I was hoping you could join us. Now, this is another function of past continuous. Sometimes we use past continuous. We use past continuous to express uncertainty or to sound more polite. As you can see, for example, instead of I was wondering if you could help me, we could simply ask, could you help me? Or can you help me? But we want to sound more polite, so we use past continuous to serve this purpose. I was wondering if you could help me. I was thinking of inviting him. This is expressing uncertainty when you are not sure. And the same with this one. I was hoping you could join us. Again, this is a request put in a polite way, put in a more polite way, and also it expresses some sort of uncertainty. Let's do some exercises together. These exercises are extracted from this book, First Certificate Language Practice. Let's underline the most suitable verb form in each sentence. I'm going to start explaining the answers for this exercise in a few seconds. So I suggest you pause the video and try writing the answers, and then we will review them together. Okay, let's begin. Number 1. I suddenly remembered that I forgot or I had forgotten my keys. The right answer is I had forgotten my keys, because I remembered is your main event and forgetting is happening before the main event, so we need to use past perfect. 2. While Diana was watching her favorite television program, there was a power cut. The power cut was the main event, and watching is the background event. Number 3. Tom used to live in the house at the end of the street. We use used to in here and not would, because live in this sentence is a non-action verb, and we can only use used to here, not would. Number 4. Who was driving the car at the time of the accident? Because the time of the accident, or we could say when the accident happened, that is your main event, and was driving is we are describing the background event. Number 5. By the time Sheila got back, Chris had gone. Because Sheila got back, this is your main event in past simple, and Chris going happened before this main event, so we use past perfect. Number 6. David had eaten Japanese food before, so he knew what to order. He knew is your main event in past simple, and had eaten, because it happened and finished before your main event, we use past perfect. Number 7. I was doing some shopping yesterday when I saw that Dutch friend of yours. Again, I saw that Dutch friend of yours is your main event, and I was doing some shopping, the background event. Number 8. I used to like, or I was liking sweets much more than I do now. This is obviously talking about a habit in the past, and we use used to. Number 9. What exactly were you doing when I came into your office yesterday? Again, background event, or an event which was going on, which was in progress at a specific time in the past. Number 10. Laura missed the party because no one had told her about it. Missed is your main event, and telling her or not telling her happened before this, so we use past perfect. And number 11. Tanya used to be a doctor. Be is a non-action verb, so we cannot use would here. Okay, in this exercise, fill in the gaps with the right form of the verbs given in the brackets. I'm going to start explaining the answers in a few seconds. So again, I suggest you pause the video and do the exercises. Okay, let's start. While I was trying the background event to get my car started, a passing car stopped the main event, and the driver offered, again, your next main event to help me. 2. The police paid your main event no attention to her complaint because she had phoned, because your main event is the police paid, and phoning happened before this, so we have to use past perfect in here. Number 3. Mary wasn't wearing her glasses at the time, so she didn't notice what kind of car the man was driving. Wasn't wearing and wasn't driving is describing the background of the event, and didn't notice is your main event. Number 4. Nick lay down on the grass, your main event. Lay is the past form of lie. Nick lay down on the grass for a while next to some tourists who were feeding the ducks. This is what is going on in the background. Number 5. Tony admitted, your main event, that he had hit, because hitting happened before admitting, that he had hit the other car, but said that he hadn't damaged it. Again, damaging or not damaging happened before admitting. Number 6, sorry, I wasn't listening to you. I was thinking about something else. I need to tell you that we also use past continuous, two past continuous sentences, one after another, to describe two ongoing events happening at the same time. And this is one of those examples. Sorry, I wasn't listening to you. I was thinking about something else. This not listening and thinking are happening at the same time, so we are emphasizing this coincidence with using two consecutive past continuous sentences. Number 7, Helen was feeling very tired, and when she finished her work. Actually, for feel, we generally use the continuous form. We say Helen was feeling very tired, and when she finished her work, she fell asleep, because fell is your main event after finished. 8, the police got to her house. This is your main event, as fast as they could. But the burglars had disappeared, because disappearing naturally happened before police getting to the place. Number 9, I phoned you last night, but you didn't answer. Again, two consecutive or two main events happening one after another. What were you doing? This is something which was going on in the past at a specific time. Number 10, we didn't go out yesterday. Your main event, because it was raining. It was a continuous action which was going on in the past at a specific time. Let's take a look at the next exercise. In this exercise, again, fill in the blank with the correct form of the verbs in the brackets. I'm going to start explaining the answers in a few seconds. So I recommend you pause the video for a few seconds and do the exercises. Okay, let's begin. When Professor Mallory, the famous archaeologist, invited me, your main event, to take part in his expedition to find the lost city of the Himalayas, I didn't hesitate, your next main event, to accept his invitation. Mallory had discovered, because this happened before your main event, an ancient map showing the position of the city, although no European had ever gone, again because this happened before your main event, to the area before. In fact, most of Mallory's colleagues either believed, this is describing a fact in the past, that the city had never existed or never existed. You could use either of these forms, past simple or past continuous. Or felt, again describing a fact in the past, that it had vanished or vanished. Again, we can use both or either of these forms. Long ago, and had become or became simply a legend. According to the professor, the builders of the city had hidden it, happening before your main event, among the mountains in order to protect its immense riches. He believed, a fact in the past, that the descendants of these ancient people still kept, it's either describing a fact or were still keeping something which was going on at a specific time in the past, themselves apart from the rest of mankind for the very same reasons. So, when we set off, your main event, on a cool May morning toward the distant mountains, each of us was looking forward, a continuous action in the past at a specific time, to exciting discoveries. For a week or more, we climbed, something that happens on a regular basis in the past, higher and higher, following the map, which Mallory studied. Again, something which is happening frequently from time to time. Then, one afternoon, when we were resting, background or something which was going on at a specific time in the past, at the top of a valley. We noticed your main event, that a rider on a horse was waving, something going on in the past at a specific time, at us from the other side of the alley. A rider whose clothes shone or was shining. You could use shine as an action verb, or just merely describing a fact with a past simple. This is the last exercise, and this is about using participle clauses. And again, you can pause the video and write the answers. I'm going to show you the answers in a few seconds, and I think all of them are self-explanatory. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it and it was useful to you, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you have any questions, you can ask me in the comment section, and I will do my best to address all the questions. Thank you. See you next time.